Hello, and welcome to the early edition of the podcast, because we are a day early.
Yes, it is quite early. It is good to be early for a podcast sometimes. Just keep people on their toes.
Never know when the podcast is going to come at you. You got to be
No,
ready at all times.
that's
You
right. You must
know,
have notifications on your phone for when twitch.tv/Omicron goes live or you're going to miss it.
it's true. It's true.
Yep.
I'm willing to bet there's like maybe one person with notifications turned on for my stream. Maybe one.
One. Okay.
Yeah, and I know that it's my mom. So.
Mm. The app will tell you. The app,
Oh,
the
really?
analytics will tell you what percentage of your people have notifications turned on and how many actually tapped on the notification after a
Oh,
stream, I think. So once it's done, you should check that.
I will check that. I will
I mean, I
definitely.
guess if you don't have the app, I'm not sure how.
Can I get this information in the dashboard on web browser?
That I don't know. I think analytics is more big picture out
Right.
there.
Well, there's discovery tab.
Oh no, it has stream summary.
Yeah.
And then does it say
Tells me how many unique chatters, minus 12 since last stream, but it's still collecting
go live
data.
notification? There you go.
Is it on there? Where?
Yeah. So go to stream summary and in the way at the bottom on the right, it should have a go live notification.
Oh, yep. Not enough data for us to display. So one might be accurate.
Mine says 29.8% of my followers have notifications turned on for my stream. So
Oh,
all
hey.
right.
Oh, hey. That's
Oh,
totally
that's
right.
actually insane because it says 1,048 people have it turned on, and I'll get like 40 people watching. That's a lot of people who are like, please tell me when Falcon goes live so I can not
Nah.
watch him.
Well, they want to know just in case it lines up with that they have nothing to do, you know?
Yeah, like, luckily.
Yeah.
I can do this again? Why can I do this again? Let me do it again.
Do what again?
No, it didn't. Oh, for a second it was like, it's your 58-month sub anniversary again.
Oh,
I
okay.
was like, I already did that.
No.
Nope, didn't work. Anyway, Twitch. What a great platform.
What a platform. Yeah.
Anywho's, so real quick, I just want to say that I've been enjoying the Andor. We got the last two episodes of Andor Forever are coming up on Tuesday in a couple days. Very sad about that, but also I appreciate they have a story to tell, and they're going to finish the story and they're going to walk away. That's what I want people to do. That's what I want creators to do, and I have to be consistent in my beliefs.
So, no season 3?
No season 3. I mean,
Huh?
here's the thing. The Andor character, right? He shows up in Rogue One, and we know what he's doing from that point until he dies.
Uh-huh.
And the show just kind of bumps up right up against that point.
Okay.
So I don't know how you do a season 3. I mean, I guess you could say season 3 of Andor is Rogue One. Because it just follows his story.
Yeah.
I actually made a whole video about my thoughts on Andor to this point. Look at me doing other stuff other than StarCraft sometimes.
So, I woke up this morning at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was like fumbling for my phone since I still had my alarms on for work. I'm like, oh, sleep. And then since I was awake, blinded by my phone, I was like, let's see what's on YouTube and have a scroll through. I saw that video and I watched about 40 seconds of it. And then I realized
Nice.
I'm probably going to get all this information from you now. So
Well, not
Why-
all of it.
why spoil myself?
But yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's entirely fair. Well, I'm glad you saw it because it's good to see my videos getting pushed to people. It's good.
Yeah.
Um,
I did
yeah.
wonder how the Brood War fans would appreciate this if they don't like StarCraft 2 and they're going to put up with Star
Yeah.
Wars though.
Yeah, no, I hear ya. I mean, it's not getting many views, but I'm not getting angry comments either. So people aren't like, "Screw you!" Like, don't do this stuff. They're like, "Oh, it's a nice branch out." And if they don't like it, I think they're just ignoring it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
fine.
I mean, make it for you, Falcon. Make it for you.
That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
Anywho's.
So,
Yeah, so it's good. So there's one thing that I said in the video that I just want to say here real quick. So the Empire is going to destroy a planet in this show. So like Alderaan, right? In New Hope,
sure.
the Death Star destroys Alderaan, and it's like, oh no, it's sad, and Leia's sad, and Obi-Wan's like, oh, it's like millions of voices cried out in terror and were silenced.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like Grand Moff Tarkin being like, well, screw you, Princess Leia. You told us the location of the rebel base. I'm going to murder your home world anyway. Bam. Push of a button, done.
Yep.
Just for evil, right? It's just for evil's sake. We are evil. Let's establish how evil we are. We're going to kill a whole planet. You disagree?
Broadly speaking, yes, that's what's going on. I mean, they're attempting to solidify their power by demonstrating its use. It's very Hiroshima, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's don't cross us or Alderaan.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's still pretty broadly evil, though.
Oh, yeah. Sure, I'm not
Yeah.
defending Hiroshima.
Anywho, but the difference here is that the Empire in Andor is like, okay, we need this calcite mineral to build the Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
It's only found in nature as far as we have explored on this planet Gorman.
Mm-hmm.
It is they call it substrate. It is below like the lowest levels of usual mining operations for stuff like this.
Okay.
So they're like, if we go get that, the planet will be made uninhabitable. We will create so much seismic disturbance and so much stuff will happen to the planet. No one can live there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, it's like home to this incredible spider silk that these people have made a whole industry out of and creating clothes out of this really expensive spider silk. It's like this sign of status. So there's a whole lot of people there, and a lot of people won't know what Gorman is. So they're like, we don't really want to go in there and just murder an entire planet because it would be bad optics for us.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, they do spend a couple years trying to find a synthetic alternative to this thing. They try to find another substitute for it in nature somewhere, maybe on another planet as another part of the galaxy, another solar system. And eventually they're like, nope, can't do it. Can't find it anywhere else. We have to destroy Gorman. So they start a PR campaign to be like, look at these stupid Gormites rebelling against the Empire's way of life. Look how dumb they are. And they always thought they were better than everybody else. They're like filling the airwaves of the Empire with all this like Fox News type propaganda, right?
Right.
Like they think they're better than you. Can we trust them? Look at them. They're protesting against the Empire.
Sure.
So it's just interesting to see them approach it from not just we need this, we're going to go get it, screw you guys,
right.
angle. It's a different way of evil to go about the thing.
We're seeing the Empire having two arms. One is the authoritarian military, which we see Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin be like, we're going to do a demonstration with the Death Star so people know that it works and we can keep doing this. That's Alderaan.
Yeah.
But the other hand is the administrative side who's like, well, there's kind of an economy here that's useful to keep. We should find alternatives first, you know?
Right.
And then there's the, I'm going to call it the CIA kind of operative, like behind the scenes, who's like, okay, we now know we need to get rid of these people. Let's start a fear-mongering campaign, you know, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's all very realistic, I think.
Yeah. Right.
Sounds great.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
And again, not to say that in New Hope it's entirely unrealistic because it,
No, it is.
We talked about the motivations behind it and stuff. Just a little more complicated, a little more going on here. They so apparently 10 years ago, they don't say this in the show. This is apparently like Star Wars comics lore that Grand Moff Tarkin visited Gorman and set an Imperial troop transport down in the middle of the like city's town square and killed like 10 people. Like, just
crushed them
to death. And so there's this memorial there, and so the Empire is like, how can we make the people foment their own rebellion and make them look like they hate us for no reason? So they start building effectively a military kind of stronghold near the town square that casts a shadow over the monument in the town square. And it's this symbolic thing where they're like, the Empire killed our people 10 years ago, and now they're casting a shadow over our monument and our memory of these people. And they say they're not building a military complex, but we know they are. So they basically intentionally do things to encourage the Gorman people to foment rebellion against them. So that they can PR spin it to be like, what are these assholes doing? We're not doing anything wrong. They're throwing Molotovs at us, right?
Right.
It's so good. And then you have this whole sad thing where part of the Gorman rebels are like, we have to do something about this. We have to prevent this from happening. It's just going to keep getting worse. Which, probably true, considering what the Empire needs to do with your planet.
Right.
And then there's this other part that's like, no, that's giving them what they want. Like, they will be given an excuse to crack down on us even harder if we're vocal and violent in our protest. Let's just continue to be peaceful about this. And there's this ideological argument about it. But again, the tragedy is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they do. The Empire is going to murder their planet anyway. It sucks. It sucks so much.
So in Rogue One, they're like, they needed kyber crystals for the Death Star. And they raided the Temple on Jeddah, because that's where Jedi came from, but definitely wasn't the first Jedi temple, because Luke goes there later. I'm just, it's called Jedi, and they're the Jedi. I'm picking...
The world build is tough in Star Wars, we know.
Yeah. Anyway, where did the Jedi then get their kyber crystals? Or is it a different crystal that you have to tear apart planets to get?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, cool.
I do not know. Again, look, the Star Wars world build is squishy.
Yeah.
And sometimes they tell a story and they don't consider what came before and they don't consider what will happen afterwards. So, whatever, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just wondering if they'd answered that. If they haven't, that's okay.
No. And I mean, you're not talking about Andor, right? You're just talking
No,
about
well, I'm talking about whether or not in Andor, if they're talking about they need a bunch of crystals for the Death Star, and they directly mention they took a bunch of crystals from Jeddah to fuel the Death Star. If they tore apart this planet, did they mention that they were still getting crystals from other places?
No. There's like Admiral Krennic has a meeting where he's like, we need this specific crystal, and it's only on Gorman. There are no meetings about anything else that's going on.
So okay. Andor seems like a good show. Like, season 1 was good. I enjoyed it. Season 2 sounds like it's really good. But I think Rogue One is a good movie, and I don't like that it's making Rogue One a little less solid, where it's just like, well, they blew apart a planet to get enough crystals, but then they also had to sack one temple,
Right.
And it's like...
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's just squishy, because they didn't think they would do a prequel to the one character from Rogue One, and then it was a good movie, and people liked it, so they did a prequel.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Again, expecting the Star Wars world build to be airtight and make sense at the time it's just too much to ask. And I do the same thing. I'm like, but what about this other thing? And it's like, Star Wars doesn't care.
Maybe Star Wars should care, goddammit. Especially when you can say, well, Star Wars doesn't care, with like a whole bunch of slop that they've made, where it's like, okay, we don't really need to care about this because it turns out people didn't like it, or we don't really need to care about this because that was the kids show, it just needs to be cool for kids, right? Here we have some really interesting adult-orientated Star Wars stuff. Could we maybe just, in the sphere of that, care about that? That's a much narrower list of things to really like keep track of.
I mean, I don't know if I understand exactly what you're asking for here.
So if we consider Rogue One to be the more adult version of Star Wars, I was about to say StarCraft, right? And the Clone Wars TV show to be the kids thing, we can consider those two separate bubbles for when writing airtight canon and lore and world building. You can keep the things that exist purely in those two bubbles from overlapping. Like, you don't need to worry about each other. Just whatever you're working on now, figure out which bubble it fits into, and make sure it fits with that. Especially if you're writing a prequel to one of those.
Right. Right.
I feel like that's not unreasonable. I don't care if everything coalesces together, because like otherwise I would blow my head off looking at Warhammer. You know.
Yeah. Well, Warhammer certainly doesn't care at all. I think Star Wars cares more than Warhammer does.
Maybe.
Maybe,
but maybe not.
I don't know. Because, like I said, this whole Gorman planet destruction comes from the existing canon, and they were like, "Let's pull it into this TV show." Like they are paying attention to what's going on.
Does it come from existing canon, or the canon that they said wasn't canon when Disney bought Star Wars?
That's the question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if it was part of. I don't know if it was part of Legends or not.
Right.
Could be.
Because they've definitely brought stuff back from Legends, but they didn't bring... Like, they took the concepts, they didn't bring the actual material. And so... I don't know, you could have done a James Cameron Avatar where it's like, this one continent has a large quantity under it, we just need to destroy that one. Like, we just need to get to the tree to get the unobtainium. It's not everywhere, we don't have to blow up the planet, you could just be like... Just the city, the city's on it. We need to displace everyone, you know.
Yeah.
There are ways you could do it, but pulling apart a planet with seismic activity is just fun. It's fun. So they wanted to do that. I think that's what it sounds like. Although, actually, go.
Well, I'm just curious to see if they're going to show it because they don't.
Oh,
they're
okay.
like. In the latest episode, the people, they hear rumors that the Empire's landing giant mining rigs on their planet.
Okay.
And they're like, hold on a second, what is going on here? But they don't show us. They don't show us the mining rigs. And I'm wondering if they're going to bother showing us the destruction of Gorman. I think they showed us the people. They showed us the people who are affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
So... Jin in Rogue One actually gets liberated from a mining camp. Do we know what planet that was on?
No. It would be fun if it was Gorman, though, yeah.
It would be fun, yeah. Anyway, at some point, you reminded me something, probably with, like, the crystals are underneath the ground. I got reminded of a story that I read earlier this month, which was a French farmer discovers a gold mine worth 4 billion euros in his garden.
Holy crap. Okay.
But the state confiscates it from him. So in France, anything like in the soil, you don't really own. It's not yours. So he owns the property and can like farm on it, but he doesn't own anything that's deep enough. And the TLDR is they might not even dig it up because they're going to weigh the potential value of the gold versus the ecological damage it would require to get it.
Also, maybe the economic disruption by throwing that much value into the economy.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. So they might just leave it there. Although I did on... something that I don't remember. I don't have the original article that I read, but it said that he would be entitled to at least like 2% of the value if they did decide to dig it up because it was on his land. So 2% of 4 billion is still a fuckload. Still a fuckload.
It certainly is. I know in Italy, like they have so much history. Like every city is 8 cities built on top of other cities.
Yeah.
And so if you ever try to like dig down or renovate something, there's like a 90% chance you're going to find an old fresco or an old frieze that's like 8,000 years old.
Yeah.
And yeah, if that happens, the Italian government's like, boop, we're going to come spend the next 10 years investigating this and screw you. And it's like, man.
The UK had a huge problem when they were digging like underground train tunnels. It's like every 5 feet they find more Roman ruins, you know? And it's like, well, we now need to decide whether or not this is an archaeological dig site before it's a train station. Which it's a tough. It's I don't know, a good problem to have. Finding history. I'm not going to complain. Like, walk. It's a city. It should be walkable.
Yeah, in America, we don't really have many of those problems. Might find some Indian arrowheads, Native American artifacts.
Maybe.
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 Yeah. That's what you get for living in a place that has that much history. Screw you.
Mm.
Anywho, yeah. And what's really fun about this is that they could screw it up. Andor could be like, our final 2 episodes will be garbage, and you'll hate them, and it will screw up the whole show forever. Which doesn't sound fun, but we're in that position because Game of Thrones was there. Game of Thrones was like this incredible, culturally relevant show for years.
Uh-huh.
And then like the final 2 or 3 seasons are just like progressively worse, and then the final season sucks, and now no one cares about it.
YouTube has been showing me clips of the final seasons, right?
Really? Yeah. Specifically the final seasons?
There's a couple from like the earlier ones, but not a lot, right?
Okay.
It's a lot of like Brienne getting knighted and stuff, right? Or like...
which sucks.
I didn't think that was a problem.
Jaime knights her, sleeps with her, fulfills her wildest dreams, and then bails to go be with his incestuous sister, says, I don't care about little people, and dies with her. The end.
The small folk, not the little people.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm gonna say is when you haven't watched the show in a good while, and you get just the clips of like
the good stuff,
you can almost remember it fondly, almost.
Yeah, almost. I mean, especially if you I remember. I mean, I don't know if I've talked about this recently, but the introduction of Tywin.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't show up for like 2 or 3 seasons into the show. He's mentioned, like he's Cersei and Jaime's dad, right?
I think he's in season 2.
He's introduced in season 2. He's introduced in season 2, right? On the battlefield, he's fighting against the Starks. Robb's army's commanding it, and he's just in his tent skinning a stag.
Yep.
And like giving a speech about the nature of war, and it is the most riveting TV. Like friggin' Charles Dance, man, incredible actor, and I will still say when they lost him, Game of Thrones lost a lot. That's all.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones used to be great.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, if you just watch the shorts where Sam Tarly finds out that Daenerys burnt his dad and then his brother, just that in a 30-second form, you can remember the show well. Like
even from the later seasons, there are decent parts. Yes, that's true. That is true.
That is true.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Hey, anything else? Warhammer.
Warhammer? I don't think I've got anything.
Cool.
So Warhammer, what did we read this week? The
Twice
5
Dead
days.
King, Rain.
Rain. I think it's a hyphen.
Hyphen.
Yeah.
Rain.
By Nate Crowley again, obviously.
Yeah.
So
let me just tell you something real quick before we get too much into it.
Oh, I was going to give a 1-sentence summary of what I think this book is.
Oh, okay.
Which is Nate Crowley does The Last Jedi.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Must make connections. Must remember what Last Jedi is.
Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi, where they're all in that fleet of ships and they're just trying to run from the First Order.
Yes. Okay, so that was it. I had the exact same thought. I was like, if this book is literally a fucking slow space chase for the whole thing, I'm gonna be pissed. If it's like, and then at the end of the book, we got to our destination, the end. Read the next book. I'm like, burn the book, throw it out the window. I'm never reading another book again. I was going to be so mad. Then halfway through, he's like, actually, what if we do this? And I was like, oh, okay. He flipped it on me. I was very close to being very angry with this man.
I mean, here's the thing. That is essentially still what happens, though. Like, if you stay on the Acrops, you're one of the other lords.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Here's the thing. I think it's good. I think this book is significantly better than The Last Jedi.
Do you think... Okay, so it's funny. I actually did some Googling. I Googled the name of one of the Crusade ships, and it took me to a Reddit post where it's like, dude, this book is an homage to is it a Babylon 5 or a Battlestar Galactica?
Oh, really?
reference.
The Polyphemus.
Yeah. No,
Oh.
one of them.
What's the other ships?
It's the one that does the like crazy close-in burn to the capital city in the first book.
Oh, the Astarte ship.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can Google for it. Oh, apparently they're not the Blood Angels or the Blood Radiants. They're the Angels in Carmine.
What does that mean?
They're an just a successor chapter. That's all.
Of the Blood Angels.
Yeah, because they have the Black Raids. There's literally a point in this book where they're like, they seem to think they're on the bridge where their dad took a wound, and it's like, oh, the Black Rage, something that the Blood Angels and the successor chapter do when they fall to it, is they believe they're on the bridge of the Vengeful Spirit where Horus kills Sanguinius. Like, they believe that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I kind of picked that up. I was like, is that okay? Fair enough, guys. Right.
Yeah. Okay, so their page doesn't have a list of ships. That's not useful. Tell me the name of the ship.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, the name of the ship, if you Google it, it pulls up a Reddit conversation where it's like, hey, this is from a Babylon 5 or Battlestar thing where, yes, they're running from an enemy, they jump, and then exactly 3 minutes later, or whatever it is, 1,800 something seconds, the enemy jumps in behind them and is like, we can't shake these guys. How are they tracking us? Etc., etc. So, okay, so here's so what year was this book written?
2022.
Okay, so Battlestar happens, and then Last Jedi steals the idea, and then this Nate Crowley steals that idea from both Last Jedi and Battlestar.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the exact same thing. Running from the enemy. We've jumped through space. They can't track us this way. Holy shit, they tracked us this way. How did they do that?
I mean, yeah, it's a little bit like that. Because, like, the ship on the Acrops is falling apart, right? So the first jump, they're like, how did they find us? And then after that, they're like, we can only do tiny little jumps. They can see where we're coming, like where we're going.
No.
Yes.
That first jump was, they said it was 20...
Cat.
like sun lengths or something. There was a big term for it.
The first one, I'll grant you that they're like, they shouldn't be able to find us, and then it's like, oh, okay, there has to be a traitor. But after that, they're doing very, very little jumps where they're like, the enemy fleet is catching up with us every 30 minutes. You know?
Yes. Progressively smaller jumps, they say.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
But that first one, sure. They're like, how did they find us? They must be tracking us. They must be a traitor.
Right.
It must be Admiral Holders telling them where we are.
Right. And then it's not that at all. It's
No.
actually because you took their gold.
Yeah, it's a great little plot twist where they're being tracked by the Crusade, and like, okay, so this book is mostly as a follow-up, being like, hey, Altix, all you have left is like your people and whatever's on this on these ships. Now spend the next 200 pages slowly burning them all in the fire of survival. You know?
Yep.
Oh, it's every time he like jettisons something or I don't know, rips the gold out of the only other dynastic noble, the lady, and like challenges her to a duel and thinks that she's the traitor, right? Every time it's sad because it's just, I don't know, burning everything, every last little thing, right down to killing like the one other Necron he trusted, and personhooding his best friend and kicking him into nothingness for conceivably all time.
Yep.
Oh, so awful.
And like jettisoning the people, the Necrons in tombs that they've been carrying.
Oh yeah, their legions, and then the tombs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's terrible. In the pursuit of, like you said, saving the Dynast, and the pursuit of saving the Necron civilization, you're tearing it apart. You are siphoning off every single piece of it you possibly can in the hopes that it will help you save what's left. It is brutal. Yeah.
it's rough. It's real rough. Yeah. So they have all this gold that they took from the Polyphemus in the end of the last book, and a new character shows up in this one, which is the Prince of the Ogdebek dynasty, where he asks a lot of rhetorical questions. He eventually encourages Ultix to wear some goddamn gold. Like, you are the dynast. Where is your gold?
Right.
And they have all this gold on hand, so he goes and wears it, and they find out that there were bones. The humans are such shoddy metalsmiths, they've managed to mix in human bones into the mix.
And they're like, wow, these guys really suck at this. I can't believe how bad they are. There's no reason. There's no way this was on purpose.
And what it turns out, the way that they're able to keep finding them is they had ripped out the tomb of a saint. And so saints are usually, I mean, the church would say it's just faith. They're powered by faith. But faith is just warp magic. They're psychers. Sorry. Church fans. And so the bones are like warp resonant. They're like, it's a beacon that the other psychers can follow, you know? Or that the priests can pray for divine revelation to find them.
So good. And the poor Necrons are like, we don't have any affinity for the warp. How are we supposed to know? Like, even the orcs would have figured that out.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Necrons.
Even the orcs would have figured it out. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Poor Necrons. Very funny stuff.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't reach a point for me where, like, the Crusade is like, I really have a hard on for killing these Necrons.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, they are pursuing them to the literal edges of the galaxy to kill these guys. And is it just like we hate filthy Xenos? Is it they stole our gold?
Both.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a lot of purge the Xenos. It is, we are Crusade. Here are the people we're trying to kill, so we can claim their planets as our own. We can't just let them go. They have our gold and our Saints' Bones. It's probably the Saints' Bones more than the gold specifically, but yeah, it's a bit of both. It's, you can't just let Xenos live. And
okay, I guess. I just feel like if like a handful of ships escape from a planet, chasing them with everything you've got.
Well, I don't even know that it's everything they've got, because when
it's the three flagships are there.
It's the three flagships, like the Arch Mechanicus, I presume it's a battle barge of the Space Marines, and the Polyphemus. But when Antikef was being invaded, they said it was only 1/5 of the fleet. We don't know if everything, formed up to go and chase them, or if it was just what was at Antikef.
Yeah, true, but symbolically, all three of the big-time figureheads go off into who knows where to chase down some refugee Necrons. It seems insane to me. Like, put your time towards wiping out more Necron planets. Like, how many Necron planets could have you wiped out in the time it took you to chase these guys to the ends of the freaking galaxy? You know what I mean? Yeah,
I don't know. There's something to be said about don't let the enemy in behind your lines, though. Yeah. There is a Necron fleet just roaming around. Who knows where they could get up to? Yeah, you gotta take care of that now. It's like letting changelings into your base, being like, well, I could go and kill a Zerg base, or I could take care of these changelings. The changelings are probably fine. Don't worry about them.
If I spent 37 minutes chasing the changeling down to try and kill it, probably worth more of my time not trying to just focus on the changeling and do macro.
Yeah, I suppose, but that's what the other arms of the Crusade are.
Yeah, that's fair. So they're like, all right, we're going to chase down these Necrons. You guys keep laying waste to Necron dynasties, and we'll meet up when we meet up.
Yeah, I think the Polyphemus represents the mortal hosts of the Crusade, right? The Arch Mechanicus that they have, the fact they have an Arch Mechanicus there is really interesting. Those are, like, hugely important ships for the Mechanicus. They are probably there chasing down because they want to loot the thing. And then the Angels in Carmine, the Space Marines, if they're an actual faithful chapter, like one of the ones that actually worship the Emperor, they're probably there doing that for religious reasons. And that's why you have representations of each. But the Crusade as a whole might still be off doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then just a splinter of it, a big splinter, is chasing down each for their own personal reasons here.
Fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. It got to a point where I was like, you are really spending a very long time chasing these Necrons.
Here's the thing. Necron Tomb Worlds aren't going anywhere. They know they're going to get to the planets eventually. The ones that are leaving, you got to get them, because the ones that are staying will stay. They'll stay all day, right?
All right, that's fair. But at the end of the day, they don't get them. They don't get them. They turn around and go home after getting halfway across the galaxy.
Yeah, okay, so this is not something that I knew before this book, that flayed ones could, like, dig through cracks in the universe and get around. Like, the fact that they could also just be like, well, we're going to come out on your ship in hundreds and thousands, and, like, that... when the entire command staff of the Crusade get flayed...
That's fair. They get eaten. Yeah.
Suddenly, whose job it is to lead might be like, you know what? Not worth it. They might. Someone like you was second in command, and they were like, let's leave. Let's go get the ones back on their planet. You know, this is not worth it.
Yeah, but I mean, it took the mass murder and complete annihilation of thousands and thousands and thousands of people aboard those ships before they were like, all right, maybe this is not the fight for us.
Yep.
It took a lot, that's all.
It took a lot.
But yeah, you're right. Religious reasons, fanaticism. Adeptus Mechanicus being like, ooh, Necron stuff.
Ooh, shiny.
Yeah, I get it.
Shiny trinkets.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so we follow our guy, Ultix. He's king now. And... it's really interesting, because it's like they really spend some time in the first book being like, a dynast's word is law. If a dynast says something, everyone moves heaven and earth to make it real, even if it wasn't already, right?
Yeah.
And then Ultix is king, and he's immediately getting, like, second-guessed and challenged, and everybody's like, I don't know about this guy. And I'm like, okay, so is a dynast like God or what?
Well, some people were second-guessing it, but, like, the majority weren't. There was still, like, he would walk through, like, the ship's bridge, and everyone would be bowing. And it's like, who was challenging him? One person? And it was like, okay. He ripped her face off after she cut his jaw off, you know?
Yeah, but even, I don't know. Like, Mentep is constantly questioning him, and he's not technically a citizen of the dynasty anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess outside from the other dynast, dude shows up, and he's same thing. He's not under his... He
doesn't so much question as he, like, guides him. He's like... Yeah. It is questioning in, like, the strictest sense, like, the most literal interpretation of he doesn't just bend over and let Ultix do whatever he wants with him.
Yeah.
But he... I don't know. I feel like if...
Look, nobody's like, you shouldn't be king. Fuck you. But there's a lot of, like, siding up to him and suggesting different ways. And do you actually have a plan for us, O king? I'm questioning your wisdom here. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And he doesn't. It's great.
Sure.
There's that whole part of the beginning where it's like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, you should have a meeting and tell everyone what you're doing. And he's like, And
then you get that little parable about, like, you know, only the very wealthy in the time of flesh had the luxury of taking their time with anything. So to waste someone's time was a huge insult. And then we stood staring at her for at least 5 seconds, and it began to get awkward. You know, because now they have infinite time.
Like I was hoping it would work like it did back home, where all these, like, lesser nobles come up with their own ideas and they fight with each other, and I can get an idea from that. But that's not how it works here.
Right.
They're expecting me to know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, poor Ultix. He immediately becomes burdened with, like, the responsibility of kings and what he believes a king should be, even though it was, like, very clear to him at the end of the last book that, like, we need you to be king because you're not going to think like how the last kings did. Like,
Yeah.
Like, you have the weakness of compassion in a Necron, you know?
Uh-huh.
And then he spends the next couple hundred pages showing very little compassion because he believes that a king has a right to do whatever he wants and no one can really question it. And it's like he begins to believe that people are questioning it more than they really are because he believes someone's a traitor luring the humans after them. And the moment one of them is like, we're getting bombed to bits here, we need to do something, I'm gonna go and attack them to save the king, entirely loyally, which, looking back, is really sad when he realizes, oh, I've just been killing loyal citizens. The
Pretty much
entire...
constantly.
Constantly,
But
yeah.
yeah, well, but I don't know. He seems to think that if he shows weakness and he shows compassion, this thing that Necrons do not respect,
Right. That's
that
what...
he's gonna lose. He's gonna lose the respect. He's gonna lose the loyalty of his people.
That's what I mean when he's like entirely burdened by what he believes the idea of kingship is for his
Yeah.
people.
Right. So then the question is, if he had shown compassion consistently when he felt it was required, do his people see that as a weakness? Do they come for him?
I don't think so, because we learned from Packet when she's dying that, like, yeah, everyone knew that you had the flare curse, and we didn't go and throw you out the airlock. You know, everyone knew that already. And then when he gets back, the bridge is like, or the like the launch deck or whatever that they land on, so they don't land on the bridge, is filled with nobles, and he's like, oh, I recognize some people here who the Grain Lord had suggested might be like rumblings of treason, and I recognize some people here who are definitely not, but all of them are here, and they're all here celebrating our return because they all recognize that the curse is coming for them. Like, everyone's made this decision or like had this realization already, and he just doesn't see it because he's so driven by like not being Unas at the end of the last book that he won't recognize that he himself is cursed.
Right. Well, which is fair, because again, there is no cure for this. They haven't ever found anything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting, too, that he recognizes that, I don't know, I forget what they call it in the book, but it's his dysmorphia.
Oh,
right?
the Dysphorak, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's the same thing with trans people today, where it's dysmorphia, where they look at their body and it's like, this is not what I think it should be. He's like, part of him's like, I should have a heart, I should have lungs.
Why can't I breathe?
I should have teeth.
Yeah.
Why can I breathe? Like, he, gets cut across, his jaw gets removed in a duel, and he's
like scrambling for it, you know?
Yeah, because it's not mechanical, it's his body.
It's his mind, yeah.
Right. And that's what it is? Like, that's the flare curse manifesting him?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. That's what it turns out to be, that, like, it's this need for the physical flesh time that they have, and, like, it's rising unbidden, and it's uncontrollable, and, like, when he's gets blown apart and ends up on the Polyphemus, he has that moment where he's, like, self-diagnostic, and he realizes that his internal, like, very root level folder of his hard drive is, like, always replace the word blood with flux, or soul with Heka, or skin with necrodermis, and it's like, oh, I don't have anything for breathing, just shunt the thought process in anything else, you know?
So he's just missing that from his...
Well, okay, so it is still a curse. It's not like he's missing something, because not all Necrons, I guess, have the Dysphorak, if that's what the curse is. Because not
that's
all...
what I was wondering. I'm trying to figure it out if it's the same thing or not.
Okay, so at the end of Sarek's war, we're told that, like, Unas and, like, all the other dynasties that fallen already went and did something at Sokar's Gate. My assumption is that they killed a Catan, a Star God, right? And when it died, it cursed them. And so these ones are especially bad and especially going to fall to the Flare Curse, even though it can kind of affect any Necron. These ones have it bad. So maybe other Necrons have these issues. Maybe they just don't. But it's these houses who were there at the time their entire dynasties get cursed. And so these ones have it, not all of them. You don't need to worry about Trazen falling into Flayer curse because of the Disparak. Because, like, we've read a book with Trazen, and we didn't get a lot of, like, the need to breathe, you know?
No, we didn't. Right. Okay, because I just kind of made the connection of, like, if your brain is partially convinced that you should have a flesh and blood body that needs to eat, that can translate into you compulsively trying to eat.
Yeah,
right?
That's kind of that. Yeah,
I make that connection there. But if you say you can become flayed and have the need to eat without necessarily having those same feeling that you should have a physical, like, flesh and blood body.
Look, maybe that's what the flayed one is. I'm gonna say I don't think anything else has really explored it because it's explored here.
Okay.
So yeah, if you see a flayed one in, like, Infinite the Divine, and you go, oh, that Necron was overcome with the need to eat, right? Or something to that. Like, oh, it needs to have skin again. And so that's why it covers itself in human skins or orc skins.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's perfectly reasonable. That's entirely valid line of thinking from this book. You're right. I think you're right.
Okay, sounds good.
I do really like the bit where the Astartes tries to bite him, so he tries to bite it back.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
You don't have a jaw.
Well, yes. It's not... Well, okay, that's a whole other thing. That's not just on Astartes.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's a crippled Astartes from the inside of a dreadnought. It's like he was having lobster. Yeah.
Yeah. It's... Okay, not only that, it's a crippled Astartes inside of a dreadnought who has the madness, who's got the blood madness going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like... That's crazy. Like, the Blood Angels doing the, like, crazed murder everything thing.
Uh-huh.
And then having one of them inside a dreadnought doing the crazed murder everyone thing.
Uh-huh.
Nuts. Like, why? Come on, you guys.
Are you asking why they would put him in a dreadnought?
Yes, I guess so.
What if he turned after he was interred in the dreadnought?
Oh. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Didn't they say they had him, like, sealed away in a box and they, like, just, like, bring him out when they need him for stuff?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, they recognize that it's a really bad idea to leave this thing loose, so they lock it up until they need it, because they recognize it's still really useful. Which, I'd like to draw a comparison between the Astartes with the Black Rage and the Dreadnought in the coffin, and the Red Marshal and the Destroyer virus, and they're kept in stasis because they recognize that they're useful, you know?
Right.
But they can't...
If you let them out, you better have a lot of stuff for them to kill.
Yeah.
So...
Dude,
that was sad, too, because, like, they let them out, they kill all these dudes, and then they're just, like, standing there. The leader's just, like, standing there.
But what will you do now? Wait for something else to kill.
That's it. That's his whole existence.
Yeah.
And Oltix notices, even as he's, like, brutally murdering this Space Marine chaplain in dreadnought armor, which is impressive, he's not taking joy from it. He's not angry. He doesn't appear to be feeling anything. Oltix says he's doing it like a regular person would breathe. Yeah. It's just what he does, and there's nothing remarkable about it to him, even as he's beating this chaplain to a bloody pulp. Right. Yeah. Insane. Sad. Really sad. Yeah.
Ugh. Good book.
Yeah. So it is kind of fun that we get to the point where Oltix has had the curse for a very long time, but he's been so obsessed with revenge and, like, reclaiming his position in the Dynast that he's not allowed it to take any control of him. Right. Very funny. Yeah. They do say that in the first book. Like, the best way to, like, stave it off is to have an obsession.
And if you go... I feel like, since I've now read the first book twice, that if you go back and reread the first book, a lot of what Mentep says about Yennik, who's, like, he's had the curse for almost as long as I've ever seen anyone else have it. There's a lot of, like, hidden messages that Mentep's like, you have the curse, dummy. you know?
I know. But at the same time, if you make him confront it, it probably gets worse.
Worse, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Mentep doesn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Ugh.
So we get to the point where I don't know what happens to Ultix. He dies
Mm-hmm.
charging the freaking Crusade ships.
He's standing on the hull of his own ship, piloted by the last Lich Guard that he has. It's like Star-Lord in one of the Guardians of the Galaxies. He's like standing on the hull of his ship holding something. I don't remember.
It's pretty metal.
It's metal as fuck is what it is.
So he gets killed.
Uh-huh.
And then he starts going to get reconstructed aboard
so
the human ship. Like, what happened?
So what we get from Ultix's perspective is they're about to, like, take fire and crash into the Polyphemus, and his Lich Guard, like, I don't know, tackles him or takes the fall for him or the explosion or something, and he ends up damaged and unconscious but slowly repairing because Necrons, they're living metal. They heal over time. Yeah. But a bullet struck off his dynastic symbol on his, like, cartouche on his chest piece.
Right.
And so that's where he has that, like, crisis of consciousness about who he is and who he gets to be, and he's like, well, it's not a binary choice. I can be Ultix and nobody.
Right.
You know? Because at that point he's come to terms that he tried to eat an Astartes.
Yeah, kind of hard to avoid that one.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought he was dead and got, like...
Yeah,
and his pattern got, like, reconstituted aboard a human ship, and I was like, that doesn't... What?
No.
Fair enough. So he's not dead. He's very close to dead. He repairs.
Mostly dead.
Unlike his Lich Guard, who straight up dies.
Yeah. Because bleeding core flux through us like a backward. Yeah. There's no healing that.
So no core flux for Ultix. Got it.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so fine. So effectively, he reaches the understanding that flayed Necrons, the flayed ones are still Necrons.
Yeah. They're his people.
They're just afflicted with an illness.
Mm-hmm. But it's easier when you're not alone and when you're together. And they all come together and hug and they make friends with the humans and sing Kumbaya. That's what they do.
They sure do. Make so many friends with the humans. Yep.
Yeah. I really like...
So it's just like he becomes part of a murdery flayed one's hive mind.
Not a hive mind.
He kind of... Like, they are acting... It says it's more like they're acting like a... They're like a virus, like flooding through a system.
I think that's
individuals.
I think that's
I know it's an allegory, but it's how they're acting.
Right, in reference to the ship, not in how, like, Ultix is commanding them.
No, but just like everyone's on the same page in combat, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Like he says, like, it's just they respond to each other so immediately. One person falls back, another person takes their place without even like any kind of communication at all. And they're just constantly moving through these corridors on the ship, just murdering everyone that's in there, not stopping, not slowing down. They're moving so fast that they're like, you know, Astartes, deck 4, level 2, and they'd show up and no one's there. Everyone's dead. Congratulations. They're over here now.
Right.
It's just, they become this incredibly efficient killing machine.
Yeah, I read that as more like there was just like a tide of them, and it's like, okay, if one person fell back, there was always just another person to fill in there. Not necessarily that they were communicating on some level together. It was just an like there's a quality and quantity kind of moment. Yeah. It's more how I read that. Because Yannick says to, well, he doesn't say, he taps on Ultix's chest piece, and he's like, they always come unbidden, right? Mm-hmm. And so I don't think even Ultix as like a Flayer King, which is I believe what he gets called, like that's his title now, can really command them on like a hive mind level.
Right. And he's very clear to be like, I'm not coming to you as your king. I don't demand any service from you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we want you to be our king. He's like, well, that was easy.
Well, that's certainly convenient for me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think it's like it's all brought like it's all mixed up with there, and like when they say it's not about him commanding, it's about him going where they're following. It's like this is a king they choose to follow, but not one that commands them to do so. Like he doesn't. What's the word he uses? It's like where he doesn't like presume to command them anymore. Like he doesn't just assume that he can do that. Right. Now he's won their respect by being dead twice.
Yeah. Cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
then the end is the inference is they go back to where it all started.
Sort of. No.
Sort of?
No. They don't even go to Sokar. Okay. So if we consider Sokar's gate where like the Catan dies and they all get the flare virus, that's not this planet.
Okay, but did something that Mentap
yeah, something happened here, and we don't know what, because they want to fire another weapon at it, which I think just clears the fog. Is that what happens?
Well, it's a barrier. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really cool barrier. You send a probe down in it, and then it pops back out somewhere else seconds later and has no idea what happened.
Right.
Good time. Yeah, that's a cool barrier.
Yeah. They end up... well, okay, so in the first book, there's like these rumors of Vargul, the king of Barak. Is that the name of the planet they go to? I don't really remember the name of the planet. But yeah, there's this King Vargul, the twice deceased King Vargul, is what he's called, I think. Or I don't think they know that, but we know that because But it's like hope that there's this one Necron out there who's managed to survive the flare virus. He's cured it maybe, or made it work for him. And that's where they're going, because Mentep has told them that, like, maybe there's hope out there, and Yannick had been supposedly talking to the ship, but in reality, the ship remembers something that they did here.
And the ship wants to go back and then throw itself into the sun.
Yeah.
Cool stuff, ship.
So they get there, and I guess Altix is now Vargul. He's going to take that title. Warhammer does have some timey-wimey stuff where it's like maybe he goes back in time and is Vargul the entire time, but
sure.
I mean, I read that on the wiki. I don't know that that's true, right? Because there's absolutely nothing in this book, but what we're told is like whatever was here, like whatever, there's a crown like on the throne, and like whatever was here, it's been gone for a long time,
Yeah. So there's this like incredibly perfectly preserved city, like ginormous Necron city down there, but no one's home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is honestly a little anticlimactic to be like, we gotta get to this planet. Maybe we'll have the answers there. And they show up and it's like, no one and nothing of interest is here. Cool.
Yeah, that's why I think there might be a third book, also with Lysycor being out there being like, oh, sorry I didn't get to portray you in time. I'll get you next one.
He was the best character. He was very funny.
He is, yeah.
The couple times he's like, so... hypothetically, if I had something that would help us out of the sticky situation, but let's say I'd hypothetically stolen it from you before, would you be mad?
I like him at the start of the book where it's like, I think we should all take a moment and congratulate our king on his first patricide. And they're like, what?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. So that's why I think there might be a third book. There's enough, like, what's Altix doing now? Or, what I learned was, there is another book by this guy, like a little novella called Severed, where apparently Vargul shows up or is mentioned. That he wrote several years earlier, and, like, he also gets... a mention in like the 5th edition codex. So this could be story filling for something they wrote earlier, where it's like, okay, what they've found is the crown of the Catan that was maybe like when they killed it, inflected the flare virus, and how he's just taken over and is going to fill the role of Valgul Twice Perished. That was written about a decade earlier in a fluff. Either way, could be cool. I would like to see another book because I don't know. I just like these characters. And like it blows my mind that there's like 9 Necron books in total if you include novellas, and like distinctly one of them is considered really shit. So, you know, I would like to see. Oh man, Dennett summoned the monoliths. He remembered.
He did, and it was 2 seconds, and then it was over.
Yeah,
well,
yes. Oh, and Neth. Do you remember Neth? Poor Neth.
I remember Neth. Yep.
I really feel like out of maybe everyone, Neth is the saddest because Altix considers him to be just like entirely sycophantic and like really just like, oh, he thinks we should look down on everyone else, and it's like the Necrons do look down on everyone else. But Neth at the end is like, as long as there's 1 cartouche worth of light, the dynasty will continue to serve, and walks out and gets vaporized for it. Neth was loyal the entire time. He was a true believer in Altix, even right back on Sadar throughout those long years. And he was like, he wants me to kill, an orc grot hit the stones of this tomb. I guess he wants me to kill myself in failment. I'll do it, you know.
For the dynast.
Yeah. Poor Neth.
So 2 related things there.
Yeah.
One, Oltix does realize that the standard fighting style of Necrons is extremely wasteful if they don't have pattern like recombiners for their soldiers to get resurrected in. He's like, we need to do some thinking about how to fight a little bit differently because we just walk into fire and they end up losing like so I don't know how many it is, so many Necron soldiers to like 10 freaking Space Marines because they just walk into their fire. Yeah. That's one. And then 2, Oltix gets back to the ship and mentions that Neth is dead. And Mentap, I think it's Mentap, is like, oh, well, that's too bad. And Oltix is like, well, that's, dying to protect me is like the biggest thing he can hope for according to his station, right?
I feel like that was Oltix saying something to be like, to like brush off the concerns. It's like, at that moment, he realizes Neth was like a loyal companion this entire time. And he needs to say like what a ruler would say, because he can't show the weakness of compassion for caring that Neth gave his life for him. But Mentep then goes, oh, that's sad. I put a lot of work into fixing him.
No, that's not what he says.
He says there was a lot of work done on Neth. I did a lot of good work with Neth, or something like that.
No, he says, well, then that's too bad about his station or something like that. Hang on.
Yeah. Look it up.
I'll look it up. I'll search for the word station. It's probably not in here 20 times. It's looking at devastation. He says devastation a lot.
Take a shot every time they say refrenations, in my ocular array.
Yeah, totally. Here it is. Oh yeah, he says, alas for his station then. Oltix says, do not be sorry, Cryptek. The praetor met an end as noble as his station allows. And then Mentep immediately says, alas for his station then. And then it says, Oltix did not think about that. Oltix is funny.
Yeah. Nate Crowley's got a good sense of humor on him.
But yeah, it's just sad about it. Just Mentep has a different understanding of Necron life, and probably human life, another life too.
Probably.
Then there's his whole thing where like he was some kind of science mad genius who created all these terrible weapons and led to the destruction of countless people and Necrons, and then he purged all of his memories of every war crime he ever committed and went to sleep.
Kind of, yeah.
What a character! And I awoke and knew I'd done something bad, but I didn't know what.
Yeah, so that's why I definitely think there's like another book in here, because we have everything to do with the Warlock and that planet. It's like it's all just sitting there, unless.
And then Mentep still exists because he put his consciousness into his robot. So
yep, yep.
No one really ever dies in this book.
Neth is dead. I remember Neth. Come on, man.
You're right.
Pull one out for Neth.
Neth is dead, yes.
And Donette and his monoliths. And Jaceres. Yes. Although Jaceres came back in like a mind vision for him. He's like, this is going to be hard, but you can bear it because you know if you don't, others will suffer. Which, I guess, trying to eat a bunch of people is pretty bad.
Is that what he's talking about? Coming to terms with his...
With being a...
Awareness?
Yeah, I think so. I assume so.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's... I don't think I have anything really else. It's good. People, there's a giant catapult. I like that. They were like, we have the pinnacle of scientific achievement. I was building some super weapons for maybe the dynasty's enemy. It's a big catapult.
Promise not to be mad, but I think we might be able to use it. Yeah, I felt a little abrupt. It's like, there's a catapult. They go there. They fight with the humans about who gets to be on it, and then it works. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that needed to be in there, I guess, is what I'm saying. It's fine.
There's a lot of setup there for Lycoris stealing a lot of canoptics. And he being like, oh, the catapult is basically a giant canoptic.
That's true.
Yeah.
It is funny when it's been secured by riddles. And
yes.
He's like, nah, they're easy. And then he checks it later and he's like, how are the riddles going? He's like, well, some of them are harder than I thought.
Yeah. These cryptex.
They're better at riddles.
Yeah. They're better than riddles than what I expected.
That was fun.
That was good. All right. Is that it for the book?
I think so.
Two thumbs up?
Yeah, I think so.
2 thumbs up. All right. So do you feel like that was enough heavy Warhammer, and we go back to something fun like Caiaphas Cain, or do you want to do another series? You want to hit the wheel? Because that's what we agreed on. You want to hit the wheel? All right. Let me.
I'm just not sure what. Do I get new things from Caiaphas Cain, or is it always the same darn thing?
You do get new things. There are like new characters that pop up, but it's very formulaic.
But Caiaphas is Caiaphas.
Caiaphas is Caiaphas.
Yeah. I'm like, I like Caiaphas, but I don't need more Caiaphas at this point.
Okay. Well, that's just what I said. What we would do is we'll, after the grim dark gets a little grim dark, we'll go back for some levity.
Okay.
Alright, so I have added Fabius Bile.
Yes.
Yep.
As requested by Doc Bravo.
Yes, and actually, hold on, I need to exit full screen because he also asked that the Night Lords be given a slight handicap, and
he said a big handicap.
I'm not doing that.
Okay, good.
But yeah, all right. Let's spin, see what we get.
Okie doke.
Here's where it's Night Lords anyway.
What?
Here's where it's Night Lords anyway.
That would be funny.
Honor Bound! Okay, so this is an Imperial Guard book. We are following another commissar called
Is this commissar an asshole?
Yes. This is Severina Rain. Honor Bound.
See, this is me again going backwards. I got the Caiaphas Cain, which is supposed to be funny because he's not what a commissar is. But I got him first, so now I'm learning what a commissar is after reading 3 Commissar Cain books. Yeah. Accurate. That's what happened. Okay. Sounds good.
Oh. I remember really enjoying this book. That's what I'm gonna
Excellent.
say here.
Okay. What's it called again? Honor Bound?
Honor Bound by Rachel Harrison, I think it said. Yeah. Severina Reed.
Amazon's like, this word is generic, but I know you're talking about Warhammer, so here it is.
Yeah. Does she still only have the one book? That's what I need to know. Oh no, there's a short story. Execution and then Honor Bound, the novel. Maybe we could do both. Well, they're not bundled together, which is a problem.
That's okay.
Yeah. Screw
This
your
is a
short
funny
story.
review.
Yeah.
This person's I confess I wasn't really looking to buy this book, but the wonders of one-click purchasing got it for me, and I ended up enjoying it.
Hey man, if you make a lemonade out of lemons, you know.
Yeah, it worked out in the end. Had to refresh to get my rewards points up again. Amazon, I'm on to you.
Oh, that's sad.
I feel like I have some bonus points I can use to get a deal on this too. Where are my bonus points at, Amazon?
Who doesn't like bonus points?
Yeah, because I bought so many books. They're like, here is $3 off your next book. I don't know where it is. I'll find it. Good enough.
Yeah.
All right, nailed it. Anything else to cover today?
I think that's it.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for hanging out for another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour with Somicron. Streamed live at twitch.tv/Somicron. VODs go to youtube.com/@Somicron. Very good place to be for VODs. They're all out there. You can support the podcast also by buying merch at falconpaladin.store and by going to patreon.com/Somicron and pledging. There are monthly options. There are yearly options.
Is that available for everyone? Or is it something you need to turn on?
I never turned it on. I just
Okay.
started getting yearly pledges out of nowhere a couple years ago.
Okay. There might be yearly pledges.
Might be.
Yeah.
So check it out. And that's it from us. We'll be back next week, maybe at the right time. Thanks, Ultra. Appreciate you being here. And yeah, so until then, stay safe and healthy, and goodbye.
Bye. Bye-bye.